Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today, I'm joined by Antonio Edwards. He's a fellow real estate investor, a coach. He's also a fellow podcaster. And like many successful real estate investors, Antonio found his success out of the struggle to not accept a mediocre life. He's going to share a story today, and we're going to learn more about Antonio and how he overcame his obstacles. And today we're primarily going to talk about really how to overcome your fears. If you're an experienced real estate investor, you might be holding on to the past, whether it's you haven't left your job behind or something else that's kind of comfortable because jumping in 100% makes you feel uncomfortable. And maybe even if you're brand new, you're afraid to kind of jump in at all. That's unfortunately, a lot of new people fail because they really never get out of the gate, and a lot of that is driven by fear. So Antonio is going to share some of his lessons with us today, and we're going to learn more about how you can leave your fears behind. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Antonio, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? It's an honor to be on your Flip Nerd podcast show. I know you have tons of listeners and you give out great content, so it was an honor for me to be on today. So I can share
thanks, man. Hey, the only reason I have good content is because of people like you come on here to share your stories, so thanks for being here.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we get started here, I want to, I know we just talked about it. It's funny because we literally just launched our new website. So for those of you that are out there listening, I'm excited for you to join us at FlipNerd.com. We have a national wholesale listing platform and a way to find vendors in your market that you can rate and review, or other investors can rate or review. So we're excited to finally get that launched. This is actually the first show I've recorded since we launched. So anyway, just a shameless plug there, Antonio, for FlipNerd.com. But you know, it's funny because we have a lot of common friends, and I've known of you, and this is the first time we've met. But I know you do a lot of great stuff, and it wasn't until really right before you came on that I learned more about your story and your background, and I'm glad you're going to share it today. I think it's a good story.
Yes, I mean, definitely. I look back and look at him like, man. I mean, I feel like if I can make it, anybody can make it, because I truly came from nothing. Slept in cars, and we can go more into that whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
But I know I see people out here that I see people maybe from knowing them virtually, or people I know personally.
Yeah.
And some people really haven't made, and they're blessed and don't even know it.
Yeah.
People out here that do maybe have some startup costs to start up a business, as far as capital, a few dollars here and there, or people that don't have kids, or either or the younger crowd that I look at that's still living home with mom and dad with no bills, that they can start a business.
Yeah, they've got a safety net there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny. We'll talk some more about this. But it's definitely true that I think a lot of people defeat themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They've
Totally
got something in their head that I've got something to lose, and it's funny once you get to. I'm not. I don't really kind of thump my chest and say I'm successful or anything like that. I mean, we've had a very good run, and I'm feel very blessed. But I think when you get to a point to where you start to feel like I could lose it all and I'll be back in give me 2 months and I'll be back. Once you've got that feeling that you've really got nothing to lose,
That's
even
true.
if some people think you've got a lot to lose, I think the people that really do have a lot to lose aren't afraid. They don't have this fear that they can't get it back somehow, So
Right.
you start to make different decisions in your life, right?
Yeah, it's more about the specialized knowledge more so than the money that's in your bank account.
And the confidence, that you can do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So hey, man, so tell us your story. I think it's a great one to hear, because I think a lot of people, they they learn from hearing other people overcome things, and I hope that it causes people to take action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I come from a family, a traditional family. I have a great mom and dad, and they're still together, and I honor their relationship. And how they taught me is what they know.
Yeah.
Was to work a 9 to 5. As far as me going to college, they told me, Antonio, hey, it's up to you if you want to go to college, but at least get your high school diploma and find you a good job when you graduate from high school. So that was my mentality growing up. My goal was to graduate from high school. I graduated with honors, and what I did, I ended up graduating driving trucks. I had a actual full-time job driving trucks. They started me off at this job. Actually, I started this job at 16 years old, so I was still in high school working this job. But at 16 years old, I was looking at it as like, okay, start the job at 16. By the time I graduate, it'd be a set enough job where I can pay my bills and then be a long-term career. Yeah. So that was the mentality, in high school. So they started me off at 16 years old at $6.50 an hour.
Yeah.
So at 16, you hardly have no bills. I think I maybe had a pager or maybe one of the old school flip phones.
Yeah.
I had one of those. In school, had a part-time job, and where most people was getting out of school, they was doing homework and going outside and playing for the rest of the night. I was at work.
Yeah.
So that those part-time checks was good at the time, but got old really fast.
Yeah. You didn't have any expenses then, really, right?
Nah, other than probably my I think I had a pager.
Yeah. that was probably like $79 a month or something back then. So
Probably.
something ridiculous.
But yeah. So they started off $6.50 an hour. Fast forward 7 years. I'm 23 years old, man, and they totaled me up to $1.50 raise. So I was making $8 an hour at this truck driving job 7 years later. And by that time, I mean, I was way exhausted before then, but by that time, man, I just had to go. I just had to figure something out. I knew it wasn't for me. I felt like I was better than that, other than a pat on the back saying, hey, good job, Antonio, with a 10-cent raise, throughout the course of the years, a 20% raise. So coincidentally, a year before I quit, at 22 years old, my mom gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And she said, here, son, I think you should read this book. And I asked her at the time, I said, how was it? Did you read it? She said, no, I didn't read it. Somebody gave it to me, but something was on my heart just to give it to you.
Yeah.
So I hated books. I hated reading books at the time, but I actually picked up that particular book and read it.
Yeah.
I read it. And once I picked up the book, I just read it to its entirely. I was so engaged in the book. And I just felt like, I was on the road to believe that I can be an entrepreneur. So my fear was, once I read that book, I wanted to quit my job. And my fear was, man, if I quit my job, how am I going to still maintain? Because I was a single dad, at the time. And fast forward a year later, it took me a whole year for me to quit my job because of the fear. But that book gave me the aha moment that I could become an entrepreneur. So I quit my job at age 23. Told the boss, that I quit. I gave him my 2 weeks notice in, and I pursued to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be a music producer at the time. The bad thing and the negative thing about it was that I had no plan, Mike.
Yeah.
I just quit my job with no plan. I was just out there, didn't have no blueprint. I didn't really have a plan. I had a house at the time that I was paying a mortgage on. I closed on a house and bought a house, my first house to live in, right before I quit my job. So
had that pressure too, huh?
I had that pressure.
Yeah.
Single dad, and I had no money.
Yeah.
It was through a blink of an eye, Mike. I was homeless. I lost the house. I was homeless. I was living in cars. I was in $30,000 worth of credit card debt because I was living off my credit cards, and I didn't know what to do. And I felt ashamed to tell people my failures, because my family was rooting me on, and what I did instead, I I had my, I didn't suck my pride in. I just slept in cars for a little bit until I said, forget this. Let me go back home to mom and dad and start over. But one thing I did tell myself, I was not going back to a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, well, I gotta say a couple things. So thank you for sharing that. And first off, it's funny how people measure success. Like if you, and I don't know this about you specifically, but there's a bunch of people that everybody listening to this is going to resonate with. They know somebody that has a stable, kind of air quotes here, stable job, some safe job that they maybe don't like.
Yep.
They probably don't like. Okay.
Yep.
But they stay there because of fear. But there's nobody else around them that looks at them and says, well, they're failing. But obviously they're failing because they don't like their job, right? But they just like, but at least you have a check, so you're not failing. It's funny. I mean, I think entrepreneurs, nobody wants to fail, but if you fail, you see it as a lesson, not something to be shameful of. But I think that is part of the fear, is right. People are worried. They're not worried about failing so much as like failing as like, what will other people think of me?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, most people are scared to fail. They're scared to make mistakes.
Right.
But the ones that are scared to make mistakes, which is most of the world today, those people, are not really growing per se.
Yeah.
And they're stagnating themselves and holding themselves back and getting in their own way. From taking it to here to the next level. I feel that everybody. It seems like once you do make a mistake, once it's by accident or if it's by accident, when most people make a mistake is not by choice, it's by accident. They realize it wasn't as bad as what it was when they made up the story in their head.
Right.
It's usually always the case.
Yeah, and it makes you. The thing is that if you can pick yourself up and try it again, or even if you do something different, you're just 10 times stronger, because it's not that you necessarily learned like the business side of it. Like, okay, don't price something at that point, or what. That's not it. It's like you learned how to question your decision making, or you kind of learn more about yourself, I think, in the process of what you are good at and what you're not good at. And so, I mean, it's such a tremendous opportunity. Like if you think of, every athlete, the way that they got good was by failing, right? I mean,
Exactly.
I don't want to use a bunch of cheesy kind of quotes from Michael Jordan and stuff that I don't even have here in front of me, but, they only got better by screwing up, right? I mean, you kind of see, well, that doesn't work, so try it this way. But in the business world or in the personal world, outside of sports, really, people don't see it the same way as athletes do. But it's the same, right?
It's the same. It's a numbers game.
Yeah,
it's a numbers game with everything. I mean, it's same. With most people who get married, they find a significant other. It wasn't. Most people don't find significant others. For the first woman or first man they meet, they go. It's a numbers game. They go through different men, to find the actual one they actually fall in love with.
Yeah.
Same with business owners. We fail over and over again. It can't. Man, I still get no's today from deals.
Yeah.
Or something I'm trying to structure a deal on, or whether it's I'm trying to raise some private money, or trying to get a deal in contract from a seller. I get no's all the time. All those are failures to me.
Yeah. Especially in real estate. Yeah. I mean, we typically have maybe like a 5% success rate on offers, right? Or deals, right? Leads, at least. So I think that's some of the challenge with why people even try to get into real estate investing and they fail is they're like, well, I made a couple offers. It's like, well, statistically, you need to make a lot more offers to be able to get to a yes somewhere in there, right?
Exactly.
So anyway, so talk a little bit about your, how you were able to kind of pick yourself back up and kind of move forward, because I think a lot of people, unfortunately, in this country, a lot of people that have been through what you've been through label themselves as a victim, like the system did this to me somehow, and I shouldn't try again because the same thing's just going to happen again. I mean, just talk about the fact that I don't have this in front of me. I just read I saw a quote the other day of the number of 16-year-olds, and I was the same way as you. When I was 14, 15 years old, I'm working 20, 25 hours a week. Wow. Crazy jobs that I look back at now. Like a lot of it was retail type stuff, working in bagging groceries, working in a hardware store. But had a paper route when I was 10 or 12. Like I always just kind of had that mentality to work and stay busy and make money. But I saw a statistic the other day that it was something like less than 20% of 16-year-olds in America have a job now. And it's just a different world than when we were growing up, right? But I just think that I don't know what it is. The work mentality is not there like it used to be for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the social media access, and people have more access to the net. Especially these younger people. You see 7-year-olds on iPads now, 5-year-olds on iPads, and they're picking it up quick. They can teach you something on iPad or how to get a certain app. These type of devices and this access is, I feel like, is making our new our new generation per se. I don't want to say lazy, but is giving them it's giving them the notion that they really don't have to do much.
Yeah.
And then what you see on social media is like everybody wants attention. So people will do anything. They'll do a video that's really selling themselves out to get that attention on the net. And most people, that's what most people are doing these days. They're doing the craziest, silliest stuff, thinking they can, get rich overnight through a viral video.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's getting worse. And I don't know. So I think the best thing for parents and today that's raising the younger generation is actually teach them entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Teach them entrepreneurship. And I have my son. He read the book Rich Dad for Teens last year, and after he read that book, he actually came with me with a set of goals of what he saw himself within the next 5 years. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
At the time he was 12 years old. He's 13 now, but for a 12-year-old kid to read that book. Within the length time that he read it, I think he read it in literally in less than a week.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty hefty book for a 12-year-old. And he came with me with a set of goals on a whiteboard. I didn't even ask for the set of goals. He was like, Dad, what do you think about this? And, for him to have that mindset at 12 years old, that was very enlightening for me, because at 12 years old, I was thinking about playing Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Playing Supersonic Boom or something.
Yeah.
And, the other day, I know it's working, because the other day we was riding to amusement park, Kings Dominion, and he was like, hey, Dad, he said, I just can't wait to see where I am 10 years from now.
Yeah.
He's like, I just can't wait to see where I am 10 years from now. And I told him, I said, well, you have to start now. If you start now, whatever vision you see yourself 10 years from now, you have to start now. You just don't wait 10 years later and see where you be at. Vision it now, start now, and that's where you are.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think parents have to raise their kids to be entrepreneurs, or have the entrepreneur mindset. And I think that's where we're going. I'm a strong believer that it's really becoming a gap. As far as the people are getting richer or people are getting more poor. They're downsizing. It's 5, 6, 7 people in one home, because they can't afford to maintain expenses and household by themselves, or as a one couple. It's 2 couples living in one house. I see.
Yeah.
Or the rich is getting richer. So either you want to downsize to that, or we're in an info age.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there where you can learn. You just have to find your gift, find your purpose, and know what you want to do, and narrow it down from there, and take it and become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So for the people, and not to call out specific classes of people, but like you said, there's this divide, and I think there's a huge number on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of household income or earnings, of people that aren't willing to, they look at the people that have made it and kind of classify themselves as a victim, like they had some special treatment or something. And from your story, I know that you didn't have any special treatment, and I haven't really shared my story in 200 shows, but I didn't really have a whole lot. I had a loving family, but I didn't have a lot of special treatment. I overcame a lot of adversity too, and I see that with a lot of real estate investors. They kind of hit bottom, or they had something happen in their life that failure was not an option that they were going to allow. And I think unfortunately, I think that is rare.
Yes.
So for the people that are listening to this right now, that have made an excuse, have been thinking about being a real estate investor for years, or maybe they are a real estate investor and they do a house here and there, but never enough to justify in their mind leaving that cushy job because, somehow they feel it's safe. How do you get over that? How do you overcome that fear?
It's a great question, and I don't think it's not just become a real estate investor. It might be somebody listening to the podcast that's, you just want to pursue something. Maybe they want to, do hair for full time, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. But overcoming the fear, I feel like whatever niche you're in, whether it's real estate investor, for me, I overcame my fear by I found a mentor in the niche of real estate, a guy that was way ahead of me, that was successful where I wanted to be, and I saw his track record that gave me proof, which gave me the belief that he can show me the way, and that's what I did. If people listen to this podcast have fear, it's somebody out there that can help you, some way, shape, or form. Quitting your job. You have life coaches out there. You have to read books, but it's nothing like a mentor, a hands-on mentor, Mike, that can show you the way. Yeah. Because what they're going to do, they're just going to give you the confidence and the greatness, which you already have in yourself. Most people don't know their greatness is already within them. They just help unleash that greatness within you and give you that boost of confidence, which you thought you never had.
Yeah.
Like with me, my first deal was off the strength of a mentor. I had no clue. When I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, it opened me up to the light of real estate. I was doing music at the time, and I was like, damn, it's like, this real estate thing sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I kept saying that, but I didn't know where to start. Like most people,
right.
Whatever new venture you're starting in, that's normal. You don't, you have this idea, you maybe want to do real estate, or you have this idea, I don't know, maybe you want to, start selling cars or something, car parts off eBay or something. But when you're first starting anything, you don't know where to start. So I grabbed a mentor, and what I did, we split my deal. That was an agreement. I had no problem with splitting my deal to learn the experience and get some knowledge of real estate. And first deal was $12,500, which he literally held my hand. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to close that first deal because I was blind to the simple steps to lead to that closing.
Right.
So anybody listen to this, overcoming fear is with the internet access we have, Mike. It's so many access to people that you don't even have idea that who you can really reach if you reach out to them.
Absolutely.
I have a real close friend of mine, a real great female, and we was talking a few days ago, and she was telling me that she said, Antonio, I have all these fears, I have all these ideas, but all these ideas are causing me not to take action. And that's probably normal for a lot of people too, because you get all these ideas, you get excited, but there's so many ideas, you feel bombarded with so much information inside your head, you don't even take one step.
Yeah, you kind of freeze. I think especially in real estate, because there are a lot of information products out there. There are a lot of weekend boot camps, and I'm not going to call anybody specifically out because I would never do that. But when you have these boot camps that it's like 150 ways to buy houses, it's like that's overwhelming. Like when people are getting started, they need one way, and I think it gets overwhelming because there's so many different ways. It's very true. There's a lot of ways you can make money in real estate investing, but for a new person, that paralyzes them, I think, too often. Yes. It sounds good from a marketing standpoint, like, wow, I can just monetize every lead I get. But the reality is you got to have processes in place to repeat that and do it over and over again, and you're just not going to have that at the beginning, so it's going to kind of handicap you,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you definitely have to. I think the problem with most of us, is the problem of focus.
Yeah.
Again, with the power of the internet, the power of our smartphones, all this access we have, there's so much access to stuff, apps. You see people normal people saying they have a case of ADHD.
Yeah.
Because all this access. But if you know what you really want to do, you have to focus. And every day I check myself every day. I mean, if I might catch myself on my phone for like 10 minutes, when I know it should be upside down, supposed to be finishing this task. Antonio, you need to focus. And I find that with most people, you go to an airport, Mike, you see 90% of the people like this, like looking down on their phones.
Right.
It's crazy, and it's
Yeah.
getting worse. You look at a stoplight, somebody's texting on their phone, or maybe looking on internet somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a era where people are stuck in the browsing stage. We're just browsing, but most of the browsing is not productive.
No, I agree with you. It's easy to look up and you've wasted days or hours or, large parts of your life. And you're like, what if I had that back again, what could I do with it? So,
Right. So instead, use that browsing to reach out to people that could help you, and that's what I do. I got into a stage where I got comfortable with being uncomfortable. And in the business world, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and most people are in their comfort zones. So when you're working a job where where most people probably don't like I didn't like my job as driving a truck, but that $8 an hour was a comfort zone for me because I knew I was getting that paycheck every 2 weeks. And that was my biggest decision, was to quit my job. And once I felt like I quit my job, it was just like even though I had a failure, which that failure was a big learning experience, it caused me to grow. I felt like that was a big aha moment and a life-changing decision for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't really, again, I haven't shared my story with a whole lot of people, but before I started real estate investing, I tried to start another business that failed. After about 10 months, it failed, and we burned through a bunch of cash, and I had a brand new baby. My wife and I were recently married. She had quit her job to have our son, and it was just like, I knew enough to know that, I failed. There's no doubt about it. But
Right.
I knew enough at that point, I could have gone back into corporate America where I did fine, but I knew enough to know that I wanted to be my own boss. And from that point forward, with one failure under my belt, 2 wasn't an option. It just was not an option. And I think that it sounds like what you're saying here, and from my experience and yours too, is you have to look at failure, if you have it, as a lesson to be that much better and move on and not be fearful of failing, because you're probably going to fail on some level. You just have to fail fast, right?
Yeah. Fail fast, fail forward.
Yeah.
If you're failing at something, you're going to learn. You're going to have a learning experience.
Yeah.
It's a given. Somebody who gets locked up, that's a learning experience. At least for most of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you could just we have just a couple minutes left here. Just take a couple minutes and maybe just kind of share an overview of people that have some fears that are kind of holding them back from doing what they want to do, whatever that is. What kind of advice you could give them on how to start stepping in that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, some people listen to the podcast might not even know what they want to do.
Right.
Even though this based off the real estate niche, but just think, what is it that you love to do? It might be real estate, but whatever the case may be, find a mentor within that niche of what you want to do. Seek out a mentor. Reach out to people that's already in that niche, that's well off, that's successful, they have a track record that can show you the way. And I'm sure, I don't know, Mike, if you do coaching or whatnot, but I know Mike is definitely, he is a person with credibility that's done countless amount of deals that can maybe help somebody with real estate. Listen to your Flip Nerd podcast. educating yourself. Education is key,
Yeah,
but the actual core to it is taking action off that applied knowledge.
absolutely.
I know most people get stuck in that analysis paralysis, where again, there's so much information, and we'll be on YouTube, watch about 50 videos, and then you'll go to this one person's site, and then from there you end up at somebody else's site. Don't get caught up in the shiny object.
Yeah.
You know,
It's easy to do. It's easy to do.
it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Don't know what you want. If you're listening to this and you want to rehab properties, and focus on rehab. Focus on rehabbing until you get that well-oiled machine. You systematize that. But I wouldn't go out here and buy courses on commercial properties and studying commercial properties when you're trying to get to 2 rehabs a month or 1 rehab a month.
Right.
Same thing if you want to wholesale properties and you're on your first or your few deals under your belt. I wouldn't go out there and focus on rehabs, focus on short sales, focus on financing. That comes later. Focus on wholesaling.
Yeah.
So if you see a shiny object that sounds good, 150 ways to rehab properties, and it sounds intriguing to buy it that second when you're trying to learn wholesaling.
Right.
Focus on wholesaling. So the key thing is focus. Focus. It's a million ways to skin a cat, man.
Yeah. And as you know, even doing your first deal, I mean, certainly when you've done 5 or 10, your confidence level is just through the roof from where it was before you had done anything, right? You just start to realize, because the reality is this is not a hard business. I mean, there's some complicating things that happen. It's not an easy business for sure. It takes a hustle and all that stuff, but it's not, it's fairly straightforward. It's not like a complex, but now you can make it complex if you're doing a lot of exotic things, but but it's really not that hard. It's fairly straightforward. You find motivation and pain, help solve somebody's problem, improve value, and sell it to somebody else for more money. At the end of the day, whether you're rehabbing or wholesaling, I mean, it's that's oversimplified, but at a high level, that's kind of how it works.
I totally agree. I think people make it hard in what it is because we all make up stories in our head.
Yeah.
Before we even jump to something, same with people maybe who wants to quit their job, or actually they want to move from rehabbing to new construction. It might be a fear. Everybody has a fear.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to face your fear is if you actually attempt to face that fear and do what you're scared to do.
Absolutely.
I was, one time I was scared to quit my job. I was scared of when I got my first property under contract, Mike.
Yeah.
Even though it had backout clauses in the contract, I was still scared.
Yeah.
Look back at it, I'm laughing at myself like, wow, it was that story I made up in my head of that fear for my first contract. It was just a story that just didn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Antonio, thanks for your time today. Well, if folks wanted to learn more about you, and you obviously have a show, and where can they go to learn more about you and what you've got going on?
Yeah, they can go to they can get my free book. I offer a free book. They can go to REIRichandFamous.com/free book. That's REIRichandFamous.com/free book. I also have a podcast as well. If you don't mind me sharing, Mike.
Yep.
I have a podcast. It's also on the real estate niche. I have some well-oiled people out, expert people on the show. Mike's going to be up there.
Yeah.
Have you on. It's called Real Estate Rich and Famous. So you can go to iTunes and search Real Estate Rich and Famous.
Awesome. Well, my friend, thanks for being here today, and thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate that. I know it's, some people don't like to share their past or their failures or whatever, but I'm glad you did, and I have a lot of people on the show that have shared their stories of failure and stuff like that, and I think it's a great way for it's a powerful lesson to learn from your own failure, but it's so much easier to learn from somebody else's if you can take that with you and not necessarily have to go through that. And the only way that can happen is if people like you share your story. So thank you for doing that today.
Absolutely. It's an honor being on your podcast.
Yeah,
Mike.
Thanks, my friend. Well, please stay in touch, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit flipnerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to flipnerd.com.